Sadie, a finalist on this season's The Bachelor, said she's hanging on to her chastity for marriage, but she's a minority in this country. A new study says that more than 90% of Americans are having premarital sex and have been for quite a while. And it even includes your grandparents. With me now, relationship expert and author, Dr. Deborah Mandel. So explain this to me. 90% seems like a very high number.
Well, I think the study came out with 90% are having sex before the age of 40 or 44. So we don't know exactly what that means, how many are having sex maybe before 20, so we do have to take that into account. But people like to have sex. And I think even though our grandparents were telling us they didn't have sex before marriage, a lot of them were. It wasn't just the bad girls. Some of those good girls were having sex with those guys as well. Well,
this study does look back and say even your grandparents were. How they know that?
I think they could be asking them now. I mean, a lot of times I know that I've asked people that are relatives, okay, fess up now. I'm old enough. Please tell me what was the real scoop. And they come clean and they say, well, we weren't supposed to talk about it at that time, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't happening.
So does this mean that people are being smart about marriage? That is, they're sort of trying things out first, or that they're not?
Well, I think that's a great question. I really do think it's important for people to know their partner before they jump right into marriage. And one of the key things that I work with couples is so often, women especially, if they have had sex with a man, they decide they're having a relationship with them before they even know whether they really want to have a relationship. They put the cart before the horse, so to speak. So I think what we really need to be more concerned with is responsible sex and less impulsive sex. And people, if they're going to be having premarital sex, that they've really made a decision that this is an important person in their life that they want to be with.
Well, there's still people believe it is important to not have sex until marriage. Is what this report's saying is either they're wrong or they're liars?
Well, it may be better for people to wait longer, but it's just unrealistic, John. I mean, how many people are going to wait? A lot of people are waiting until they're 30 or 35 before they get married. Do you think it's really realistic for the human being to wait until that age to have sex? It's not very likely. But if people do have very solid and intertwined relationships that they're really comfortable with, I don't think it's a bad thing as long as, again, they're responsible and smart about it. And they recognize what kind of commitment they're making when they're having sex with somebody.
With this claim about, even your grandparents were doing this, I hate to say this, but I am a grandfather, and everybody knows what my generation was doing. So what? I mean, we're not talking about, my grandparents. We're talking about today's generation's grandparents, right?
Sure, but you know what? I think that a lot of your grandparents or people in my generation's grandparents may have also been having premarital sex. People get excited about each other, and especially at that time, there wasn't a lot of education about it. People didn't really understand the repercussions and ramifications of having sex. A lot of people actually had sex, got pregnant, and got married right away to cover that up. That was pretty standard, too.
Doctor, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on.